Hi, how is it going? Welcome to Code with Z. Today's problem is LeetCode number 7, reverse integer. In this problem, we're given a 32-bit integer called x, and we gotta return x itself, but with its digits reversed. Meaning, if x is equal to 123, we gotta return 321. We also gotta be careful, because if we reverse the number and it kinda goes beyond the range that was defined to us, we gotta return 0. Let's solve this together. So the whole goal of this question is to be able to go from this number to this number here. Meaning we are properly reversing the integers, and we also know that it's a negative number, so we're making sure that our output is also a negative number. But let's start with a positive number. Don't worry, I'm gonna walk you through all of it. So our algorithm is pretty simple. The first thing that we do is to convert our number into a string. This will make all of the calculation go away, and we will be just adding numbers to a string. And then we're gonna need a reverse loop. This is gonna loop through our characters, but we're gonna start from the end, and then we slowly reach the very beginning. So when we start, we're actually looking at 3, and then 2, and then 1. We're gonna store whatever we loop through in a variable called result, and then we're gonna return this result as our answer. But we gotta make sure to turn this result to a number again at the end, because in the beginning we turned it into a string. But if our number is negative, we actually have an extra step. We're gonna say if the first character here is equal to this, which is basically just a minus, then we're gonna say isNeg is equal to true. That's literally it, but let's visualize it together. So we're gonna loop through this and then store our results here, and if our number is negative, we're gonna turn this false into true. Alright, let's start. So it's round 1 of our loop, and we're actually looking at 3 because we're looping through these numbers in a reverse way. We're gonna add 3 to our result, and then we're gonna move on to the next round, and then we're gonna add 2 to our result, and then we're gonna move on to the next one, and then add 1 to our result, and we just keep on going, and then we reach the minus sign here, and we're gonna say isNeg is equal to true, and we break out of our loop. So this is our number that we gotta return, and we know it has to be negative, so let's do that. Alright, now as we've already discussed, we gotta turn this string here into a number, so let's do that. We're just gonna call the number function. This is gonna make sure whatever we have here is turned into a number, and then we're gonna pass it back into result. So now our result is a number. Then we're gonna say if isNeg is true, meaning if the number that we had is negative, we're gonna multiply the result that we had by -1, and then we're gonna pass it back to result. This will make our result number negative. And that's it, but we still gotta cover 2 tiny edge cases. The first one is if our result is greater than this number here, which was given to us by the question, we're gonna return 0. And the other one is if our result is less than this number here that was given to us by the question, we're also gonna return 0. And at the end, if these two are not true, we're just gonna return our result. We're gonna jump into the code now, but as a note, if we reverse our number and we actually end up with this kind of number, meaning if the beginning of it is 0, when we actually convert the string into a number using the number function, it's gonna get turned into 12 by itself. So this function here actually removes every 0 that we have in the beginning. Now, let's code this in a simple way. Alright, let's code this. So in the beginning, we're gonna convert our number into a string. So we're gonna call it string number, and we're gonna call the string function and pass it x. And x is just our input and our number. Then we're gonna define our result variable, and we're gonna initialize it to an empty string. And then we're gonna define our reverse loop, which is pretty simple. I is equal to string number dot length -1. This is making sure that we start from the very end and not the beginning. And we're gonna say loop as long as I is greater or equal to 0, and then I minus minus. Then inside of our loop, we're gonna say if string number of I is equal to the minus sign, meaning if we encounter the minus sign in our loop, we wanna do a bunch of stuff. So in the beginning, we wanna have the isNeg variable and initialize it to false. And when we actually encounter this, we want to make isNeg true. And there's one more thing that we need to do here, but before that, let's make sure that we add our characters to our result variable, like so. We're adding them in reverse order because of our reverse loop, so this is making sure that our number is gonna be reversed. However, here we need to add continue, and that's because when we actually encounter the minus sign, we don't want to get to this part of our code and add the minus sign to our result. So we're using continue here, and what continue does is that it will make the loop move into the next iteration. So it's like saying skip. And that's all of the code for our loop, and then at the end, we're gonna say result is equal to number result. This is converting our string result to number. And then we're gonna say if isNeg is equal to true, this is a ternary operator, -1 multiplied by result, else result. So this is like saying if isNeg is equal to true, multiply result by -1, else do nothing. There are a lot of ways to make this negative, but we're just gonna go with this one because it's really readable. And then we also need to make sure that our result lies between the range that was defined to us. So let's put these two numbers in two variables. Let's call them upper limit, and it's gonna be equal to 2 to the power of 31 minus 1, which was given to us here. And then we're going to say const lower limit is equal to minus parentheses 2 to the power of 31. This is going to give us 2 to the power of 31 and make it negative. Then we're going to say if our result is actually bigger than the upper limit, we want to return 0. Else if our result is less than the lower limit, we also want to return 0. And if not, just return the result itself. And that's it. This is all of our code. And now let's test it and see if our code actually works. Yep, as you can see, we've passed the test. And now let's submit it. Moment of truth. Drum roll, please. I'm just kidding. Let's see, we're gonna solve it. Yep, accepted. And we're actually beating 94% of all of the submissions. Let's analyze the time complexity. And as you can see, it's O of n. Thanks for watching and don't forget to like and subscribe. Keep on coding and catch you in the next one.